Shane, how's it going, brother?
Excellent, guys. How are you?
Doing well, man. Beautiful home you have. Thank you for joining us via Skype.
It's absolutely my pleasure.
It's always preferred to have you in the studio, but you know this is as good as it's gonna get. It's awesome. How where do you live right now? Like you're over on the island, right?
Yeah, I live on Vancouver Island. I just bought a house in Shawnigan Lake, BC.
And you have your own gym over there.
Yeah, I own Black Box MMA out of Duncan, BC.
How long have you had the gym for?
We opened in the early 2013, so
Nice.
we're going on 2.5 years.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I know you've had a pretty interesting life, and I can't wait to dive in and discuss and go over some lessons that you've learned. Why don't you start us off when you were a kid? What was childhood like for you?
Yeah, man, childhood was super tough. Growing up with two older brothers, obviously the same old story, getting beat up by the older brothers. But my life was a lot harder than that. A lot of time in foster care, misunderstood at school for sure, elementary school. I
Mm.
mean, I
Tell me
look at it
about that
now
a
like,
little
why
bit.
didn't you
Was
give the kid an apple? But I guess I was like, really like one of the bad kids in the class and
uh,
and just an overall problem for like everyone that had to deal with me as a kid.
why do you think that was? Was it something that you did that kind of brought that on, or what do you think was going on there?
So obviously with the sport now you start to understand like how food affects your behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, on the wrong side of the tracks, in the poverty,
Yeah.
state, we didn't get the food, man, the nutrition, right? So if I would have had some food, I think I would have acted a little bit different.
Wow.
But everything shapes you for your future, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. So
Nice. So where did you grow up again?
I grew up in Duncan. I've
Okay.
been in Duncan my whole life.
So you're back at home basically right now.
Yeah, Shawnigan Lake's like a couple of kilometers away from Duncan, 20-minute drive.
Nice. So take us through child. Oh, your cat's coming in there. I didn't know you have a cat
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I seen her. She's actually this is the reason right here why I got myself off the streets. This is my first responsibility. So
That's
Nice.
awesome, man. What's so in child when you say in childhood you grew up in foster homes? When did give us the lead up to that? How did all of that start?
yeah, my mom was an alcoholic, addicted to drugs,
Hmm.
always in abusive relationships, getting beat up by her boyfriends and stuff like that. So the ministry took us out of her house. I think I was 7 when I
Hmm.
got taken out from my mom's, and I didn't actually go back to my mom's until I was 17. And I was on the street for a couple years at that time, and she got me a place so I could graduate high school.
So 7 years old, you're taken out of your house and you're put into foster care.
Yeah, me and my older brother. The oldest brother of mine kind of lived with his dad. He's a half brother, but like my best friend, my brother that's really similar in age to me, kind of fathered me growing up. He was the one that lived with me, and we got separated at that point, and yeah, super tough. But
You guys got
like,
separated, the two brothers. So you were put in two different homes.
yeah, I
Wow.
was just talking about it the other day. He said that was always the hardest thing for him is having to let me go. Like it's very rare that you get to go to the same foster home. I don't know
Mm.
why that is, but yeah, we got separated a lot, and
How
that was
much
always the tough. And
how much older is he?
he's only 22 months, but he seems like he's like 10 years older than me. Seems
Mm.
how he always put food on the table for me. Made sure I had the same clothes as the people in my grade. I wasn't having to go with like bummy clothes. We looked like we were doing better than we actually were. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that was thanks to my brother. He always made sure the clean shoes. He'd be like, just grab your toothbrush and just scrub those shoes up. They'll look clean. They're good for now. And yeah, I was lucky to have them.
Yeah. So you're put at 7 years old. You're put into a foster home. You're separated from your brother, who's, like your knight. He's taking care of you, right? And what's going on with you mentally, and how are you? I mean, 7 years old is really young, right?
Yeah. So at 7, I didn't really
Understand?
yeah, understand so much. It was more like when I was 10 and 11 and
Mm.
12 and 13, 14, right? Those years in foster care were the ones that were a little bit harder on me, that
And
I
were you
missed
being
my family.
shipped around from like one place to another too, or was it always the
Yeah,
same?
yeah. I was in 9 different foster
Oh
homes
my
growing
God.
up.
Wow.
Yeah, so never at the same one. I got to stay with a lovely family for a couple of years, and I looked at them like they were parents for a while. Then he got ill, and I had to go on to another one. So it was tough, man. It was sucked.
I bet it's very difficult for people who haven't been through something like that. It must be really hard to go from one environment to a completely separate environment, adapt to new things, deal with new personalities, people not knowing you, right?
So yes and no. Sometimes it was a breath of fresh air, right? I got
Mhm.
new clothes and a good 3 course meals every day, 4 course meals, and then I would go to other foster homes that were like I would get locked up at 8:30. I would have to like buzz to use the bathroom, So some were great, and then others just weren't,
Just
right?
rough, yeah.
They just weren't the same. So you know, not all foster homes are bad. Some are worse than others.
Hmm. So at the age of 13, 14, around this time where you're realizing what's happening to you, it's are you angry? Are you sad? What are the emotions here and how are you channeling that?
So very angry. Like I
Mm.
was really small, like not just little. I was like the smallest in my grade, the skinniest, most sickly looking kid. Just very very small. And so I always felt like I had to fight, because I got bugged for being small. So I just didn't talk about it. I just wind up and cork the person in the face. It didn't matter if it was a teacher, if it was a student. Like I was just like an angry, angry, angry child, and they thought I was schizophrenic as a child. I had to go get tested. All this just nonsense. And like I said at the beginning, I truly, truly believe it has to do with the food that I was given. If I was in a foster home that gave me good food, I didn't act like that. If I was at home with my less than civilized family, I acted a lot worse.
Mm.
So
Just lack of nutrition, low blood
that's
sugar.
how that's how I look at it.
It
Lack of
probably
nutrition.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so take us through that rough patch. You're going through. Are you getting in trouble with, I guess, school for sure, but probably with the police and everything too, right?
As many foster homes I was in that many elementary schools as well. Like
Wow.
I was kicked out of every single one. Up and down, just trying to find. I was actually the youngest person in the Cowichan Valley to ever go to an alternate school. I was in grade 6. That was unheard of at the time. Alternate schools were actually new around that time as well. So yeah, it was tough, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, one thing that I didn't lack through all that was academics, man. I always did my homework. I always got good grades. I was always uh, contributing to the class. I was the one grabbing the marker and first to write on the whiteboard. So with the good, there was bad potential. Or sorry, with all the good, or
With
all
all
the
the
bad,
bad.
there was good. A lot
Yeah.
of potential.
But I'm
I see my
curious
peers.
though, how is it that you're doing your homework and you're good at this stuff? There's what's going on inside of you that's causing you to do well in that aspect of school.
Well, it was all the gangsters around. Like I said, my mom was addicted to drugs, so
Yeah.
there was always like people younger than her but older than us, like selling her those drugs.
Mhm.
So they were always around. They were like the role models, and I mean role models.
Right,
They
right,
were
yeah.
they weren't the best role models, that's for sure. So those are the people I looked up to. The way they acted, I wanted to act. The only difference was I was 8 and they were 17 or whatever. So started young, just getting into trouble and just being a delinquent, man. Super embarrassed from it now, but I like to talk about it. I like to kind of let everyone else know that you can, shape your. I was just going to get into that. You can shape your future. I run into my teacher. I just ran into her last week from elementary school. Her name's Beverly McKean. She cries when I see her. Like they tear up.
Mm.
When I see people from the courts, like the sheriffs and whatnot, they give me the warmest hugs, man. I'm like the success story of this ghetto little world that I'm talking about. So, it's not all bad. I know it sounds bad, but it's not.
No, I mean it's the story of overcoming adversity, right? So that's what we're looking at. We're
And what got me out of it? It was the one thing.
what's that?
Hashtag hard work, baby. Working hard every single day. Never just sitting there and being average. Always wanting more from life. Didn't matter. I was talking about my brother having me clean my shoes with a toothbrush. That's the work ethic he put into me. Like we cleaned our stuff. We kept it neat. We always wanted to perceive a better life than we had. So perception's reality. As we perceived that life, it became reality, and both of us have a really, really good life now. So.
Where did your story of martial arts start? How did you get into training?
Yeah, so martial arts. I was always on the streets, fighting everybody. The biggest, baddest tattooed guys I was always looking for because I was the little guy and knew that they'd oblige a fist fight with me, and I was beating them all, man. Just crushing the bar scene, just beating everybody up. So my little girlfriend at the time, little cute little blonde thing, she says, "So you think you're tough? Well, I signed you up for a tournament to prove that." Those are those tough man days.
How old are you at this point, Shane?
What's that, sorry?
How old are you at this point?
I was 20.
Okay.
I'm 32 now, so.
Okay, so girlfriend signs you up for some tournament. What's the tournament?
Yeah. So 21 years old, I go up to So You Want to Fight Because You Think You're Tough.
Uh-huh.
I go in, this skinny little kid with this gold chain, kind of eyeing everybody up, thinking I'm tough, but inside terrified. Like, what did I get myself into, man? These guys all at the time, they still had fight camps. They still came from gyms, They still knew how to hit mitts. They all had gear on. I was like in skate shoes and some baggy shorts. I was like, So I go in. I just, win every year. Win. So now I'm thinking, not only am I the toughest guy in the world, but I'm the baddest gangster on the streets too, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm super embarrassed from all that. But so I find what turns out to be my first coach, Wally Petrovic, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, do you want to fight Corey Gower on, our November card?" I said, "No." It's like, first off, I've known Corey since I was 4. Second, I'm going to get murdered by that guy. He's like a legit fighter, right?
So wait, so at this, so did you start training or?
No.
He just says come fight.
Yeah. No training. My training sessions were I would go to a set of stairs, and if I could run up and down them 10 times, I knew I was in shape.
You're good, right?
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's how it started, man. And went 6-0 in the Tough Mans. 4-0 in the Tough Mans, and then it turned to Extreme MMA, but it was the same tournament, same promoter. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I had a couple of those as well. By that time, right when it was turning into the Extreme MMA, I finally got the courage to walk into the real fight gym, the kickboxing gym.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a cage and a ring, and I remember the butterflies. I walked by it half a dozen times before I walked in there. I finally walk into the gym, still thinking I'm the baddest guy, right? Because I'm undefeated, 6-0 in these tournaments, beating everybody, even in the mixed martial arts at this point. It turned to mixed martial arts tournaments.
Yeah.
That's what. Sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place. 4 of them were boxing. Okay, so I won the very first year with 1 fight and won the championship. The next year I came out and I won 3 fights to win the championship. So that gives me a total of 4 boxing fights in the So You Want to Fight with 2 championships of the boxing ones. Then it went on to Extreme MMA, So You Want to Fight, and I was able to win another championship. So I went on to 3 So You Want to Fight championships in total. 4 boxing bouts, 2 MMA, giving my first record 6-0 is how I looked at it at the time. So I thought I was really good. I thought I was the best. And then I walked into a fight gym.
What gym was this?
It was Final Round. It was in Duncan. It was the fight gym at the time around here. Produced, world champion Johnny Two Feathers Williams, Corey the Hatchet Gower, Blake McVitie, obviously myself, and just a plethora of other guys. Josh Fong trained there for a while. John Alessio would pop in every now and again. Janine Garside was one of the stables from there, the most decorated woman boxer of all time. So there were some good guys coming in and out of the gym. At the time when I came in, I thought I was the best.
Yeah.
I found out that I was wrong about 10 minutes into my first session. So, I got beat up for about 2 years where I couldn't even touch these guys. But I kept on coming back. Every single day, coming back. And, Wally's son, Wes, was a 10-0 kickboxer at the time. didn't necessarily love my life, like my street life.
Mm.
So he'd come in and kind of just punish me for that, wanting me to be a better person.
I was
And
just
just
gonna ask you, going into this legitimate gym with a coach and training partners and everything, and having to have the discipline to be in a martial arts gym, the respect and everything. How is this now affecting your life outside of the gym?
So my ego was like this when I first walked in. So I went there to fight, and I found a fight every single day.
Yeah.
I got my ass kicked every single day. It was about 2 years that I was there, about 2012, that, or maybe 2011, that I kind of, started really buying into, okay, the martial artist thing. And I'm a humble martial artist now. I'm no longer a fighter. That actually worked against me with competition. I ended up losing to people I shouldn't have lost to. Just being too humble.
Mm-hmm.
This is martial arts. I'm a bow. I was bowing, stuff like that. I
Yeah.
don't bow. I go and fight. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I kind of got lost with the martial arts there for a while, like thinking I was a martial artist when my roots are fighter, right? I scream fighter. I am a fighter. So I switched that up and started fighting again.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it humbled me. It taught me to be a better person. My coach demanded me get off the streets. Told me I didn't have to pay for my gym membership, but I had to stop the shit as far as the trouble I was getting into. That was done if I wanted to stay part of that team. So, I cut the shit. He covered my membership for the next 4.5 years. I started taking fights and winning fights. And, like it's hard to say, but subconsciously, I guess, consciously, I'm changing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I don't know that I'm changing, but I
Right.
know that I'm changing. Do you know
Right.
what?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's
Right.
the vague.
You can't see the steps necessarily, but you're seeing the effect as you're going along and the changes are happening in your life.
Especially after I opened up Black Box in
Mm.
2013, because then I'm really scared of the persona that I've made for myself, right? With the RCMP and with the members of our community, and I'm
Right.
thinking, what am I doing here, right? But with time, heals all wounds, and I believe any damage I did in our community, the wounds healed, and I've been able to right my wrongs and contribute to our society,
Right. Now
So.
I'm gonna come back and focus on Black Box and what you're doing and everything in a moment. But before we do that, there has been I'm sure through the time that you spent at foster homes, the fights, the street fights, and all of that, you've had a lot of lows, right? You've had points of times where maybe you were injured, maybe you were in jail, maybe I don't know, right? There's those things better than I do, but every time you must have done something to get back up,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
you're still
absolutely.
in that same situation, right? If for whatever reason you fall, you figured out how to get back up. Can you talk about that a little bit? Maybe give us an example of some points that were really low and what you went through to get yourself back up, dust yourself off and start moving forward again.
Absolutely. So yeah, I said that I was kind of rough around the edges. So of course there's a lot of lows, but the one that hit like the bottom,
Mhm.
I was 17. I was just about to graduate because, like I said, I did well in school. I just finished a shop class and I was out back in the back of the school. I seen a guy that ended up hooking up with my buddy's girlfriend. I didn't think anything of it. I walked up to him. He was new to the school, and I asked him, right? You hook up with my buddy's girlfriend. At the time, we had Discmans. He slams the Discman out of my hand. Batteries go everywhere. Disc goes everywhere. I'm pretty embarrassed. Kind of like walk away. Nothing really happens. I come back through that same path an hour later. He hops out and just starts stabbing me. Bam, bam, bam. Just crazy, right?
Stabbing you.
So he stabs me in the arm. Um, at the time, I'm pretty bad with the school, so like they know that I get into trouble, so they don't necessarily take my side about it. They
Right.
say, they see that the marks are there, but he says he stabbed me a bunch of times with a pencil. So they say, you're both going home. Jonathan, you're going home. Shane, you're going home. So as we leave the office, he turns around and goes, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm going to
Mm.
kill you. This is the same person that just stabbed me with a steak knife out back. So I took that literally, like he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
So I called up some friends that weren't in high school. I say, hey guys, bring me a baseball bat. This guy's just stabbed me. He's gonna
He's
kill me.
serious about this.
So they bring down the baseball bat. By this time, the whole school knows what's going on. Someone's got the bus number of the school that Buddy's on, or the bus that Buddy's taking home. And there's a rooster tail of cars following this bus home. The bus stops. He jumps out with his little smirk on his face. I just start clubbing him with this baseball bat. Break his leg, break his arm. Just got on him. And I'm thinking, he's a gangster. He stabbed me. I'm a gangster. I hit him with a baseball bat. Guess he wasn't so much of a gangster. I had 4 cops waiting for me when I got home. So I get home. I'm just a kid, 18 years old. It's a couple months past my 18th birthday. It's September, so and I'm born in August. I just had my birthday, so it was a month after my birthday. I go to big boy jail. I'm watching myself on the news at 6 o'clock, CTV. Oh, wow. I'm having my family from Toronto call my mom saying, we're watching Shane on the news. So I'm in jail, have no clue how this happened to me. Well, I do have a clue, but, at the time, I'm like, how does this happen to me? I get kicked out of school, so I don't get to graduate that year. I had to go back to graduate. Everyone's seeing me on the news. It's right before Christmas. By the time I got out of jail, it was right before Christmas. So the Christmas lights were up, and I'm the youngest guy in the jail. It was terrifying. I walk in. The guy that showed me told me he was going to be okay. He gets checked into PC right away. They club him down and take his shoes. I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into, right? So I'm crying myself to sleep every night upstairs. My cellmate's like, bro, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not crying, I'm not crying.
Yeah, because you can't show weakness, right?
Yeah, well, I guess jail's like high school. If you're cool in high school, you're cool in jail. It's not, you can show weakness. No, everyone's pretty chill there, to be honest. But somewhere I'm never going back, and this is why. I'm not going to have somebody take a shit beside me, and I'm not going to shit beside somebody. When you get locked into that cell, guess what? You get no privacy, right? So it was more or less, it wasn't the people, it wasn't the inmates that bothered me. It was the rule structure, and they could lock me down at the time for a cigarette break. We're going for a cigarette, lockdown. It's like lockdown. Okay. Yeah. So that was like the rock bottom at that point. You know what I mean? Was just being in jail, with nothing. I remember contacting lawyers being like, I'll sell my PlayStation, my subs, just so I can get a deposit so somebody can get me out of here. It was just like, it just sucked, man. It just sucked. So
how did you work your way out of that, bud?
So I served some time in jail, and then I was just telling you, my mom got a place when I went back to my mom so I could graduate high school. It's kind of going to loop together now. Yeah. So when I got out of jail, my mom got me a place. So I moved back with my mom when I was 18, so I could go back to high school and graduate. So she got me that place. I served 6 months house arrest with my mom after I served my sentence. Got out of jail. I was the same height I am now, so 5'11". I grew about 7 inches, 8 inches. I gained about 50 pounds. I went from 100 pounds to 150 pounds. Yeah. So it was quite a big jump. All of a sudden, when I got out, girls looked at me different, and everyone kind of looked at me different. So I kind of that was my first new start. Turned out to be not the right start because, I didn't know anybody to go get a job at the time. I didn't know how I would get a job. So I got into the street life and just started getting into trouble even more,
More serious trouble now, I bet.
Serious trouble now. Now it's serious trouble. Now it's gold bracelets as thick as my wrist, and new cars and that type of trouble. So just ashamed from it now. Now I just look at it it's just so shameful, and I find myself being even more aggressive to people that remind me of the way I used to be, just trying to show them no, I was an idiot. You're definitely an idiot now. Yeah. Right?
How did you? So you're in this downward spiral. It sounds like even you hit rock bottom, you get out, and you're still on that path, right? It's not it's just you're older, you've learned more, you're more mature, so you're getting into more trouble, more serious trouble. How did you turn it around?
That was my first rock bottom. I've had a couple rock bottoms.
Yeah. How did you turn that around?
Yeah, so one thing that I promised myself, because, I was born into this life, is the way I looked at it back then, is I'll never use hard drugs, and the second I get caught, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Okay.
So I ended up getting caught, and they took everything, man. They took all my money, they took my cars, and they took all my jewelry. And my girlfriend, my wife now, the one that owns this beautiful house with me,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't love that life for me either. And she said, you know what? I'm working for Jim Pattison on his private yacht in Vancouver, and I want you to move over there with me. You don't have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about bills. You just need to come get away from everything you're doing in Duncan and move over here with me. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And that was in 2010. We're 2017 now. Haven't looked back, man. Life's been great.
Yeah, so one big lesson there that I hear is sometimes that change in the environment is very important, right? You just kind of put everything behind you, you rip away and you start something fresh. The bad friends, the contacts, all of the
All
history
gone.
isn't there and you just start fresh. So for some people listening to this, maybe that might be the solution for them, right? Just yank away
Yes.
from all of that and start fresh.
So you keep your loyalties to your friends because they were your loyal friends back then, but you don't have to accept what they do with their life, right? So now all my friends, because I still have those same friends when I'm home,
Mm-hmm.
like I still look at them like brothers and whatnot, but they know I'm the voice of reason. So when they're in trouble, when they're dealing with issues, they'll contact me and I'm just kind of their voice now. So I didn't necessarily whitewash all my friends because these people are the people that were loyal with, to me through that time, and I was loyal to them, and I love them, and they love me. Unfortunately, my best friend in the whole world died of a heroin overdose in 2013,
Mm.
and that kind of says where he went, and that is my best friend. He is my brother, and I would have never turned my back on him. So I was there through all of his struggles, every step of the way, holding his hand. He would come to my house and try to detox as often as he could. He wanted out of it. He just never got out of it and ended up succumbing to his addiction. So again, I'm here to tell his story, to tell his story of he was just a middle class kid from Chemainus. He
Mm.
kind of got into this life, and the next thing you know, he's not here anymore. And the real sad part is his mom's not here anymore either. She died of a broken heart, right? You can't just think of yourself. There's more than just you out there. If something happens to me, there's people that are going to get affected to that, or
Right.
affected by that, I should say. So
One thing that I hear that I just want to reiterate that's kind of important is, yeah, you have your friends, but you took that period of time to go away, work on
oh yeah,
yourself, and make sure you're
done.
strong enough to be able to come back and not
Yeah.
get sucked back into that whirlwind of old life that's going on, right?
Remember what I said. Two things. Don't try the drugs, and the second I get caught, boom. So I'm very strong minded. I never have thought about going back to that life, not for 1 second. It's not something that goes into my mind. I'm content, and I always have been content since that decision. There was plenty of rock bottoms being broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had everything to having nothing. But what I did have was martial arts being broke. My coach was there. I had the gym, and that's what I did. I was in the gym every single day, man. I was just putting in work, trying to become what everyone already expected me to be, right? Like all the wins, people think they thought I was good, right? I would win by knockout in the first minute. I'd win by submission, always winning these fights. But I sucked, man. I sucked. Like I sucked at actual fighting. The
Mm.
reason why I won those fights was because I was tough and very strong. When I get a hold of people, they know they feel my strength for sure, and so I was able to just like take them out. But if that fight would have went longer than a couple of minutes, my record would be a lot worse than it already is. And some of those losses are because it went on past that time that I would be able to win. So yeah. As far as go back to your question, I got myself away from the lifestyle, but the people they were always they're the same as I was, right? Everyone's misunderstood. Everyone kind of has their own story, and I don't judge people for their decisions because they can make a different decision tomorrow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So what
until we
so what made you go back and start the gym and the whole new path that you're on right now?
yeah. So final round closed down in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Financial issues more than likely. So we were left without a gym. We were all taking fights still, and I was fight. You guys know Tyler Dolby, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So I fought Tyler Dolby training in front of Snap Fitness mirror, going like this, you know.
Yeah,
So fighting somebody like that, he kind of like figure out you need a gym. You need to train in a gym,
right.
and I wasn't the most qualified person to open a gym, but I knew that I would love to have a gym. So I talked to my old coach and talked to Johnny Two Feathers and said, hey guys, I'm gonna go take a loan from the bank and I'm thinking about doing this. And they're like, all for it. Like, let's do it. Once it started, the tune kind of changed because it's a big financial burden for everybody involved. So I ended up taking that on myself, and I've been doing it myself ever since it opened.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the idea when I opened. I thought that I would have my whole final round team. It turned out, blessing in disguise, I ended up getting the other team from Duncan that really came over and started helping me out a lot, and that was Blake McVitie and Corey Gower, and they brought my game to another level. Actually, you know who was the first person to come down and help me at Black Box? The first person was Eli Wise.
Oh,
you guys
wow.
know Eli well.
Yeah. Awesome guy.
Yeah, so Eli was the first person to come down. He used to watch me in the Tough Man all the time because he's from Nanaimo, and that's where it was held. So Eli was the first person to come down. He'd travel down once or twice a week just to give me personals for free, just because he knew that I was shit. I knew that I was shit, but everyone expected me to be a lot better. They thought that I was here, and I was, here. So Eli helped me a lot, Wally, Johnny, Corey, and Blake, and now, fast forward 2017, I'm the best amateur in BC, one of the best in Canada, and I'd say one of the best in the world. So it all worked out.
That's right. For in your gym, when you started out your gym, and you've got kids coming in to learn to compete, you have to kind of change your reputation in the city, right? Because you have this history of just bad incident after bad incident, jail, all this stuff with the police, with the community. You go and maybe apply for a business license or whatever and say, I'm going to open this MMA gym. There must be a lot of raised eyebrows going, I don't think so, right? How do you overcome that challenge?
So the way I articulated things well, like when I would speak to somebody, it'd be eye contact, a nice firm handshake. I always took the time to listen, spend more time listening than talking. And I let my actions speak I didn't speak, I just let my actions speak, right? So I was always giving back and trying to help people. And then eventually, I think the community forgave me. And I believe that every single time that I have a bout, the newspaper is the first people to come over and cover it. I don't have to call them, they just come. They're all awesome at the newspaper. And I think if they didn't love my story, they wouldn't do that. I believe the community's proud of me. I think they like my story. I think they like how it turned out.
Yeah, and we always as human beings, because we all go through adversity, we want those success stories, right? We love to see someone who was broken, who was going through a lot, come back and turn it around. And that's one of the reasons we're doing what we're doing, is because we know everyone goes through adversity, and we want to showcase those stories and inspire people to, when they're listening to your story, they can go, wait, like, this guy had it worse than I did. I can turn my life around.
Yeah, I think everyone has, so I think there's always someone that has it worse, right? Kind of like being in martial arts, there's always somebody better. There's always somebody better.
Yep.
There's always somebody that has it worse as well. I've always had clean water. I've always had shoes. These are things that people don't always have. So I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't feel sorry for any of these people that are born in BC. I think we can always create a path, and we just need to stick to it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want a new car, if you work towards that car every single day, it might be 5 years, but you will get your new car. If you want, you get what I'm going at there.
Whatever goal you set, you can go after it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So Shane, you've been through a lot of adversity as you've gone through it, and it's almost like developing a muscle, right? The more you go through it, the kind of better you get to know yourself, and you understand how to get yourself out of those positions. And now you're giving back to the community as a gym owner, as a coach. I'm sure there are days where you see young men, young women come through the gym where they think that they're the toughest person on the face of the planet, or they've got this big egos like you were talking about, and they hit the mat, and you because you've been there, you recognize it, right? Like, ah, I know where this is coming from, right? What is that conversation that you have with that individual? How do you try to get to, because a part of communication is you have to start where that person is at. You can't be here or here where they're not at your level. How do you get to that level with them and have that conversation with them so you can start to make that impact?
Well, first off, with my gym, it's a little bit different than the gym that I started with. The first gym I started with was a fight gym. We came in and we fought. My gym, first thing you'll read when you come up, it's an ego-free zone. So I'm always on the side of uploading the software without damaging the hardware. I'm trying to take care of them physically before anything else. So they don't really necessarily get the chance to prove that they're a tough guy.
Right.
But what I do with them, because we do our sparring and whatnot, we definitely train hard, but we're always trying to take care of our partner, our training partner, more than ourselves, right? So if you're about to do a throw and you can't control it, make sure you fall on yourself before you fall on them. I'll go back to your question. When they first come in and they're a little bit rough around the edges, I really like to tell them my story and let them learn from my mistakes. This goes to complete contrast on the other side. If someone comes in, he's a little bit chubby, maybe antisocial, my story means nothing to him. So what I'll do with him is I'll preach the nutrition, I'll preach the health and wellness side. So no matter who comes through the gym, I always have a different barrel loaded to shoot a bullet, whatever I'm shooting at them, I'm shooting straight and it makes sense to them, right?
Very good. Now when the last time we saw you fight at the BFL cage, you laid down your gloves.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about that. It was very emotional. It was, I know, like, we can go into all that stuff like that. I read your comments and everything about on social media and what you meant and everything. But I wanna hear from you sort of the mindset of going into that fight, because it was a tough fight. There was a lot of anticipation build up, coming in, showcasing your skills. A lot of the BFL fans hadn't necessarily seen you showcase your skills, and you come in with all this hype. You do what you do, and you lay it down. Very emotional interview. So take us through I want to hear your mindset, your emotional state leading up to the fight, going to the fight, and then afterwards we'll go after the fight and where you're at right now.
So it was a little premature. I guess, like, mentally, I wanted to retire. Physically, I'm not even close to ready to retire. I'm gonna smash all those guys that come and think they want that belt. Just to let you,
You're
just
a beast,
clarify
man.
that. Any of these 35ers come up and they want that belt, I'm not just gonna give it to them. They can come fucking take it from me.
Right.
First off. Second, that was a little bit premature. I'm just dealing with a lot of stress with my mom being ill. Like I touched that, she's got brain and lung cancer. I'm also a full-time dad. So my wife works full-time. I run the gym at night. So I'm here with Briella every single morning. I feed her breakfast, I feed her lunch, I feed her dinner, then I'm off to work, right? If I'm going to compete with these guys, I need to go to Zuma. I need to be up in Victoria. I need to be going to these other gyms. I can't be the best. And at my gym, I'm the best.
Right.
I cannot be the best if I'm going to compete with these guys that I'm fighting now. They're all undefeated. Like, I don't count Taylor's loss a loss because he didn't tap, right? He was in Ali had his back against the fence and he's extending, and Taylor's a jiu-jitsu guy. He wasn't even close to tapping. So I don't count that as a loss. I count Taylor undefeated, and Connor was undefeated as well. So now I'm fighting these unbelievably talented guys when I'm not getting the proper training, is how I looked at it. I think I won both those fights. I know you guys disagree on the Taylor fight. I think I won that fight. I think I outstruck him. I think I had the takedowns. I think I controlled the ring. And he's the best. He's the best in Canada. They say Dylan is, but I think Taylor is, personally. Sorry, I fell off the question. What was the question again?
My question was, you were, because of your mom, because of the losses you've had leading up to that fight, you were in a certain emotional state. You were, when you walked in the cage that day, right? So leading up to that event and when you walked into that cage, you were in a certain mental state, emotional state. You took that fight with a lot of energy and emotion, and then that led up sort of to the
Yeah.
interview we heard. And I wanted to hear that side before we kind of go to.
So that's what was going on in my mind. I'm going, I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm going to get beat. Connor's going to knock me out in front of everybody. Not that I've ever been hurt from a strike. I've never even had someone phase me with a punch in training or in competition. All 18 fights, never been rocked, never had anything. But I thought Connor was going to definitely put, enough hands on me that I was gonna look different when I came home to my daughter. So now I'm like, okay, I'm fighting these guys and I'm not able to train up at any gym that I'm getting pushed at. I'm probably not going to do so well. And why am I doing this to myself? Like, why do I put myself through this? Like, why do I sign up for these fights against these unbelievably talented guys, and then my life is so busy that I can't put in the training that I need to do to beat these guys? Is how I looked at it. My team, they say, no, you're going to crush this guy, Shane. Like, you're too much. You're too much everywhere. There's no way you're going to lose. My team has faith in me. It's my own mindset. Coming back to the beginning when I thought I was really good and then got humbled, I'm still in that humble state where I can't quite perceive that I am as good as I am, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still think that I'm that 6-0 so you want to fight guy, even though I've put in 10 years since then. I've been, I roll with black belts and I train with Muay Thai champions and Johnny Two Feathers is an ISK world champion in kickboxing. So I train with phenomenal strikers and really good ground guys too. It's just, it was hard for me to, come to terms that I am that good. So every time I go to a fight, I think I'm going to lose to these guys. It's after the fight that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm pretty good. So yeah. Before the fight, the I'm going to retire thing had to do with why do I do this to myself? My mom's sick. I'm with her every single day. I'm with my daughter. I can't put in the training. You know what I mean? And then that's where the retirement came from.
So where's your mindset?
I feel great.
Yeah, where's your mindset? Obviously, your body is fine. Say that again, cut out.
My mindset was weak going in. My mindset was, I haven't fought at 35 for all these years. I'm bigger now. This is a hard weight cut. I was just letting my mind do circles, so.
Okay, so.
Made it hard than it had to be.
So that fight happens. You say what you say. You come back home. You the immediate aftermath of the fight's over. You're with yourself. You kind of now realize that no, that's not what's happening. Tell us where you're at now.
So where I'm at right now is I'm gonna let those 35ers get some wins because I don't see anybody ready to contend. Do you guys who do you guys think should fight me?
Trevor.
I think. I'm just wondering what's your goal is. Like, do you have a goal to like go pro eventually and continue on in the pro divisions?
Yeah, like I would fight any of those guys. I think they're all good fights for me.
Yeah, I think ideally, because there isn't a large talent pool in the amateur division, that maybe you should consider moving into the pro ranks because you've had such success as an amateur. I mean, the only way to test yourself is to like push yourself to the next level, and obviously the next level is to go to the pro division and test all the guys there. Because realistically, I feel the amateur division, you've reached the pinnacle of that. I mean, if you defend the title once, that's great, but moving up to test the guys that have had like maybe 1 or 2 wins in the pro ranks, or even fighting somebody that's gonna have their pro debut or something with you at the same time would be ideal, and then move from there. I think you have to set goals for yourself, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to. First off, my mom is very sick, but I think she's going to beat it. We're not doing the chemo and radiation. We're doing a holistic approach, and I think so I'm just going to give it a little bit of time with her before I get back into training. But I agree with you. The pro rank sounds great to me. I don't want to sound cocky or rude towards them, but I fought better amateurs than most of the pros at 35 right now. I fought Oren Hanscom twice, Tyler Dolby, Blake McVitie. You know, I've fought these guys that are just so Taylor, Connor, right? You know, so I think my pro career will be easier than my amateur career.
Hoping,
right?
You're hoping, yeah,
Yeah.
we're hoping so. So yeah,
I fought all those guys before I knew how to fight. So, and I won against a large amount of them. I beat them without knowing how to fight.
So we're gonna see you make your pro debut, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just we had a conversation with Jamie Siraj, and I see that on your record, you guys were supposed to face each other at some point in time, and the fight got canceled. What happened there?
Yeah, Jamie blew his ACL.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he blew his ACL. I ended up going against Guy Gauthier, and I just completely overlooked him, beat the shit out of him for 2 rounds, and got submitted in the second because, again, I was training for that training for that fight at Snap Fitness. So, yeah, fighting Jamie Siraj, training at Snap Fitness.
Yeah,
not a good idea.
Yeah, that's not proper preparation for it, right?
But he was great, man. Like, I've heard people say Jamie's been rude. I know Nick Gainey said Jamie was rude. And Jamie was awesome through all that. First off, he PM'd me saying that his injury, like what happened with his injury. He was super nice. Then he asked, you know, like he actually said he was going to make his pro debut for you guys and asked if I wanted to fight for Battlefield. And this was like in 2012, maybe 2011, 2012. And I was just like, dude, I just lost to some bum. I was like, I need to learn how to fight first, right? But yeah, great guy. Would I fight him? Absolutely. I think he's quite small for me. I'm almost 6 feet tall, and like I make weight pretty easy, so I think it's a bad matchup for him. I don't know.
So maybe that's a matchup for the future for you guys.
Yeah. I think I stack up against anybody at 35. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I walk around 160 pounds, and I make weight easy at 35. A lot of people that have this reach and this height are weak, and I've never been outpowered in the cage by anybody. I got out of Tyler Dolby's mount. I got out of Oren Hancombe's mount, you know, and I just throw them off me when I'm ready to get up too. So, you know, I think I'm special for this weight class. I'm big, long, and certainly way stronger than all these guys. So,
nice.
If they want to fight, I'm here.
That's awesome, man. I want to hear about your gym. I want to hear about your mission. You told us a little bit about giving back and using your story of where you came from to help kids, youth, young adults that are going through the same things. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Black Box, our main objective there isn't profit. I wish it was. That's just not what I opened for. Our main objective there is to give back to the community. We have a great stable of kids. A lot of them remind me of myself, and this is giving them another outlet. They're in there training every single day. They're way better than I was at that age. I have some studs coming out of that gym, some unbelievable kids. So, yeah, the mission's going well. We opened in 2013. We have worked very hard and diligent as far as myself to be a capable coach, because I think when I opened, I wasn't good at coaching. I wasn't even that great of a fighter, to be honest. So I'm ready now to give back to them a little bit more. Luckily, I've had some great coaches help me along the way. We have an older gentleman, his name's Ralph. He's in there helping the kids with their boxing. We have Blake McVitie, Corey Gower, Johnny Two Feathers Williams. You know, so we have all these guys that are really competent helping me as well. It's not just me there. So.
What's do you have any fighters that we might see in the amateur ranks coming up soon?
Yeah, man, more than just a few. I mentioned Mitchell last time at my post fight with Jeremy Brand, but I have more than Mitchell Page. Mitchell Page is a very gifted and talented athlete that he had me screen tapping on his very first day when he was 15 years old. So it kind of says how good he is. There's a plethora of them, though, not just Mitchell. And I felt bad after the interview that I didn't give, you know, a little bit more love to some of the other ones. We have right now he's 6-0. Austin Henry Maley, he's unbelievable. We have Steve Najera, he's 1-0. He's definitely a special individual himself as well. We have Trent T-Bomb Dunlop coming up in the boxing ranks. I've never seen somebody that hits so hard at his age and with the skills that this kid has. So there's a whole bunch of them, as well as Blake's returning soon. I know you guys were in talks with Corey not too long ago. So yeah, we got a bunch of guys coming up, and we'll take that whole division over.
Awesome, man. We look forward to it. We're getting close to ending this. I wanted to ask you, if you come across a kid, you know, teenager, whatever, young adult that's kind of going through what you've gone through, going through a lot of adversity, has no hope, you know, it's just hit rock bottom and thinking, this is it, I'm done, I can't take this anymore. What would you tell him? How would you inspire him?
Well, I would hope that he reaches out to me first off. So if you are that person and you're listening to this podcast, you can reach me via email, SMJ Blackbox MMA. You can reach me via Facebook, Shane Jung, or you can come down to Blackbox. We'll bring you in. We will definitely help you cover your expenses for training, and we will show you that there is more to life than what you've been experiencing this so far. What I will tell them is, first and foremost, stay away from drugs. Okay? No to drugs. And alcohol is another really bad one. So I'm always going to guide them away from substances that are going to affect their mind. And just try to educate them in some of the hard times that I've had to go through. And hopefully it inspires them to want more like I wanted more. You know?
Awesome, man. We're certainly grateful to you for sharing your story. I hope your mom recovers soon so we can see you back training and back in the cage. I'm excited to hear that you are going to come back and we're going to see you defend that belt or go pro, as Trevor was kind of suggesting from there. And yeah, that would be awesome to see you soon.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me this afternoon. And again, without you guys, I'm not here on this podcast right now. I certainly don't have the self-worth that I have now that I have you guys' belt up on the wall right there. So, J-Mac and Trevor, Jay, you guys do more for this than you guys even realize. So, kudos to you guys. Thanks so
brother.
much.
Take it easy. Have a good afternoon.
Hey, wait. One more quick thing. Hey, where's a good place to find you if we don't find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, I kind of overlooked my Twitter, which is my biggest following. Shane Jung 72 on Twitter, guys. Hit me up. Oh, I have an Instagram too. Shane Jung on Instagram.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bro.
Sir.